Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing good. This is Fabrizio Romano. In this video, I want us to explore if Raila Odinga and Azimio are truly protesting because of electoral injustice, or are they doing this to save the ex-Jubilee leaders in the person of Uhuru Kenyatta, Matiang'i, and David Murathe? Let me take you guys back. Okay? Before the BBI, before Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga brought this idea of BBI after the handshake, it was clear that Uhuru Kenyatta did not fancy his deputy, then William Ruto, to be in his administration. It's just that constitutionally, he could not fire him because, he wasn't actually appointed. He was just elected, just as Mr. Kenyatta. So there was no way he could get rid of it. So the best he could do was to undermine him, humiliate him by propping up Matiang'i as giving him a powerful role, and a role that usually would be deputy president's role. Now, if you can remember, the UDA faction, at that time, they were still in Jubilee, they were still one, but they were being referred as Tanga Tanga. Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta did not like them. They started bumping heads. And there was one meeting when they had in Nakuru, I believe, where it is said that Uhuru Kenyatta actually was shouting expletives towards Oscar Sudi, among others. It was, for a lack of a better expression, it was a tribal thing. It was as if the Jubilee elites, who are mostly Kikuyus, were kind of looking down on the Tanga Tanga, which comprised mainly of the Kalenjin and a few Kikuyus too. But here's the thing. This went on, and Ruto knew about this, so he formed his UDA, okay? And the plan was, if you look back now in retrospect, Uhuru was trying to prop up Raila to win the presidency so they can unleash the BBI, which will offer Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta and his cohorts to bring him back in power, basically to have him extend his power indirectly. That way he can be the prime minister and Raila Odinga will be the president of the day, but still the power will still be retained by President Uhuru Kenyatta. We all know that failed, okay? So now, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, Murathe, Matiang'i, and the likes, they understood that once Ruto became the president, he will no doubtedly come after them for the humiliation and for the undermining of his position. That's why you see them making a lot of noise now, talking about this is political witch hunt, this is revenge, while Mr. Ruto goes after Matiang'i. Okay? So here's the thing. When I study and look closely at this whole movement of Azimio, the protest, it is rumored that Mr. Kenyatta is behind the funding of this Mandamano and all these rallies that are happening in different parts of the country, whether it's in Kakamega, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nairobi, Jacaranda, Kibera, all of that. The funding is from Mr. Kenyatta, who is still the head of Jubilee Party, okay? Now, why do I raise this question that this whole Mandamano thing might be a red herring, there might be a real reason why than just electoral justice? Because if you look at the whole case of electoral injustice, it doesn't hold water. What am Azimio claiming? Their main reason of Mandamano, they are claiming that the election was rigged. Based on what? They are saying open the servers are not open. But the servers is not the issue because, like I said in my previous video, the presidential electoral results were to be declared as per the constitution, are to be declared at the polling station. Okay? So if you tally all the presidential results at the polling stations across the nation, you can pretty much tell who won the presidential election, okay? So the server thing is irrelevant, okay? Number two, Raila Odinga claims that Ruto should bring down the cost of living. Ruto has been in power for less than 6 months, maybe 6 months by now, but still not enough time to actually make his mark in the country, okay? Who brought this economy to where it is right now? It falls squarely under President Uhuru Kenyatta's rule. The last 10 years, there's some people who want to throw Mr. Ruto in there because he was his deputy, but let's face it, after the handshake, Mr. Ruto, Deputy William Ruto at the time, had no real power. It was basically Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, and Matiang'i who were ruling this nation. So this falls squarely on them. You cannot put that on Ruto. Now he has won the elections. He's only been there for 6 months. You cannot demand that he brings down the cost of living in what? Between now until March 20th? Is that really reasonable? So when you think about stuff like this, it begs the question, is this really about electoral justice? Because they had no case, okay? Give me a second, I'll be right back. Once Raila Odinga lost the elections in this past election that we just had in August 2022, the Jubilee elites leaders understood that with Ruto having power, he will definitely come for them, okay? So we just seen earlier this year, a few months ago, Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy asking questions about the Kenyatta family, about them paying more taxes, about the Moi family paying more taxes. Now we see him going against Matiang'i. This was something that was understood by these ex-Jubilee leaders or Jubilee leaders. They're still leading the party, Jubilee outfit, okay? So here's the thing. What do you think, what's the way in which they can get back at William Ruto for doing this? There comes Raila Odinga. This is where Raila comes in. Raila is trying to rescue these ex-Jubilee leaders or Jubilee leaders by distracting the public with this mandamano. Remember, usually when we have an election, soon as the presidential election results is announced, if there's clear indication of rigging, the public, the people always automatically, without anyone telling them, they know, they feel it, they can sense if there's some sort of injustice. They always go to the streets and protest. Just like in 2017 and 2007, we saw once the presidential election results were announced, Raila did not have to tell anyone to go protest. People just went out there and they say, hey, this thing is rigged, something must be done. We have to seek justice. In this time, nothing of sort happened, okay? Which indicates that majority of Kenyans understood that the election was pretty transparent, fair, and the results, nobody was done wrong. The issue was even taken to the Supreme Court and it was settled. So this is what I'm saying. Uhuru is rumored to be funding this mandamano. And like I said, this is a way of these Jubilee leaders of fighting Ruto indirectly. They do not want Ruto to clamp down on them. These guys who have robbed, looted Kenya's resources, money. You just read about Ayatari. Is it Ayatari Shitani, whatever his name is, okay? Who transferred I don't know how many billions in 26 minutes, okay? This is what Ruto's government is exposing. And these guys don't want these things to come out. So they want to distract us by using Raila and his supporters, by funding them so they can go out there and create this chaos in hopes of Ruto maybe coming into the table and negotiating with them for a deal. They are looking for Ruto to strike a deal with them and say, hey, listen, you don't have to come for us. Just, give us some leeway or whatever the case is, but don't prosecute us. This is basically what they're saying. Remember, once Matiang'i was brought to the DCI, you saw a couple of people started protesting in Kisii, saying, oh, we are being targeted, We've seen this before. We know how it goes. And this is what they want. They want chaos so it can distract the population, the public, from paying attention on the details of the loot that these guys looted before they left office. So, in my opinion, in my submission, I say that this Maandamano might not be about electoral injustice. Azimio know they lost square and fair, but this is about saving the Jubilee elites, the Murathes, Matiang'i, Uhuru, because these guys looted this country to the ground and they know it. So they'd rather fund and cause chaos so that we are distracted and think this is about Raila. And Raila is happily playing his part because he's probably getting a check from them. Okay? Tell me what you think. Is this Maandamano really about electoral justice? Or is it the Jubilee billionaires using Raila and his supporters to cause chaos to distract the public from being exposed by the Ruto government for the looting that they did in the past 10 years? Tell me what you think. This is Fabrizio Romano. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the like button and offer your opinion. And most likely, share this video with somebody you know, and I'll see you later. Blessed and peace.